Deion Sanders is confusing the college football world with his handling of the quarterback situation, but I think he's causing chaos on purpose.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? This is Locked On Buffs. It's brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. We're also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day for free and available wherever you get your listen. Or wherever you get your podcast, excuse me. So thank you for making me your first listen of the day. Let's dive in. Is Deion Sanders causing chaos on purpose? I feel like everyone wants a straightforward answer about Colorado's quarterback situation. And he's like, does Colorado have a new two-way star coming down the pipeline? Do they have a new Travis Hunter, if you will? And injuries, will these be the difference between Colorado winning or losing against Houston? But let's dive in to Deion Sanders causing some chaos. So as we know, 3 quarterbacks played against Delaware, right? Kaidon Salter got the start, did all right, led them to a rushing touchdown the first drive, a field goal the second drive. They put in Julian Lewis, and I think there was a lot of people who thought Julian Lewis was going to have a chance to supplant Kaidon Salter as a starter, but lo and behold, a guy by the name of Ryan Staub dives in and is immediately the best quarterback on the team, right? He's pushing the ball down the field, 71-yard touchdown, beautiful touchdown pass to Jalen Taylor in the first half. And all of a sudden, Colorado has a quarterback battle on their hands, and Deion Sanders won't answer who the quarterback is. Now, Pete Thamel reported that it's Ryan Staub, but Deion Sanders denied those reports and said that people are focusing more on being first rather than being correct. And I think a lot of people, he was also asked about having a stable quarterback or a proven quarterback solidified, and he was like, who has one of those? And realistically, like half the teams in the Big 12 do. But what I think is happening right now is Deion Sanders is showing a little bit of gamesmanship, right? And you may be wondering, why does Deion Sanders need to show gamesmanship? Why does he need to do this? Why would Deion Sanders want to give other opponents an easier time preparing for them? Willie Fritz and the Houston Cougars are defensive oriented, right? They are a good defensive team who, through 2 games, granted, they've only played Rice and Stephen F. Austin, so it's not like they're playing the Alabamas and Texases of the world or whatever. They've only allowed 9 points, right? Rice was pretty much rendered useless, which, there's always a saying about not losing to food, but Rice had 228 yards of total offense, and then Stephen F. Austin had 144, right? So this Houston defense is sort of their bread and butter. It's what they want to do. So everyone keeps asking Coach Prime, like, hey, when are you going to name a quarterback? Hey, are you going to confirm this report that this is your starting quarterback? Why would he do that? I think Deion Sanders is causing chaos on purpose because I think there's 2 reasons that he doesn't want to let everyone know who's going to be the quarterback for Colorado. For starters, like I just said, you give Houston 2 less people to focus on, right? If you give them the illusion that Kaidon Salter could be starting at quarterback, well, now they got to prepare for Kaidon Salter. They got to watch Georgia Tech's film. They got to watch the couple of drives he played well against Delaware and see how they use his legs to move the offense and stuff like that. Or, and I think this is also the more likely reason, Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, loves to control a narrative. And you're probably like, what does that mean? Like, is he causing drama? No, he's not causing any drama, right? Deion Sanders likes to do things his way, on his timeline, on his dime, right? There's a reason that his son is the only one who could record and be at practices when it comes to watching Colorado's practice every day, right? There's a reason that he won't, or that his depth charts are always, for the most part, like a week behind, where it's like, okay, the depth chart for week 3 is just going to be the people from week 2 who started, right? There's a reason that he doesn't make positional announcements because he likes to do things his way. And so for everyone who just thinks that Deion Sanders, who throughout his entire career, whether it was at Florida State when he was out there rapping and doing his thing, whether it was during the NFL draft process when he told, I think it was the New York Giants, like, hey, I'm not taking that test you want me to take. I'm not going to be there by the time you guys pick me. So thank you for the meeting. I'll catch you later. If it's not going to be his method of building a roster through the transfer portal, that's what he does. Everything he does is his way. And so this is just another instance of people, I think, expecting Colorado's coach to sort of conform to societal norms in college football. And that's just not what he does. We've learned that, right? He will build a roster through the transfer portal. He will play a guy two ways. He will start a true freshman at left tackle to protect one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He will not run the ball if he doesn't feel like they need to. And so I think Deion Sanders is causing a little bit of chaos on purpose. I don't really know how much of a factor this will be, because at the end of the day, you gotta play the game in between the lines. But when you're preparing for an element of surprise, right? Ryan Staub has, I think, 2 career starts under his belt. Or I think one career start. He's played a lot of action though. When you've played as little as Ryan Staub has, we'll put it that way, right? Ryan Staub is a guy that in his 3-year career, I think he's appeared in 2 or 3 games, right? He has the Delaware game this year, and then in 2024, he played in 3 games, attempted 4 passes, didn't complete any of them. And then in 2023, played in 3 games with Utah getting the start. So Ryan Staub is a guy that's a relative mystery. Kaidon Salter, I think we kind of know what he is, but obviously I think there's a sense of like Kaidon Salter needs to pull it together. So if you're Colorado going up against a Houston defense that's pretty darn good, that's sort of the soul of their program, sort of the heart and soul of their program, why would you make their lives easier? And so I think Deion Sanders is causing this chaos on purpose to give Colorado a little bit of element of surprise, right? When they take the field, it's like, okay, how are they going to do this? How's the offense going to change, right? We saw the offense change when Ryan Staub came in, right? There was all of a sudden they were taking deep shots, and it was like, okay, where has that been? Well, they hadn't been confident enough to do it, or the quarterbacks, Kaidon Salter or Julian Lewis, weren't confident enough or seeing those reads. And so Deion Sanders really has no reason to help Houston out. And I know, as much as like it is annoying, I guess you could say in a way, to not know, it really makes life more, I don't want to say difficult, but at least it makes Houston have to do a little bit of extra research, and maybe that goes into confusing the defense on a play or on a look. So that's why I think Deion Sanders isn't going to show the cards that he's playing or has in his hand right now. When we come back, Cam Michael hasn't been getting a lot of action at receiver, but is he going to make the change to defense? Let's talk about it. This episode of Locked On Buffs, it's brought to you by our sponsors over at DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on who delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more time every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For Colorado, you got to go with Ryan Staub, right? He delivered in a big way, comes in with the offense looking a little anemic, and all of a sudden fires off a couple of touchdowns, right? One of them went for 71 yards. I think really changed how Colorado viewed their quarterback position, because they had a top-rated transfer and a 5-star freshman. All of a sudden, it's a third-string guy who's probably going to be the starter. So he left no hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching, or if you were watching Ryan Staub play, this performance didn't seem like a fluke. He kept doing it and doing it. So Ryan Staub is somewhat on a streak. And just like Ryan Staub delivered for the Buffs, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you could save every Saturday, you order. Stack it up all season, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th over at DoorDash. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow. If you want to become a Locked On Buffs insider, where you get exclusive content from myself and former Colorado defensive lineman for Coach Prime, Jordan Dominic, go check out the link below. Join our subtext, right? We did a full, pretty much an hour-long breakdown of the Delaware game. Jordan provides his experience on everything that he's seeing from the defensive line, the offensive line, the offense, the defense, special teams. We dive into it all, right? You get to learn. You can ask questions. You can text us one-on-one questions. It's really cool. So I would advise you to go check that out. The link is in the comment section below, or in the description below, excuse me. Colorado's two-way players. They have somewhat of a history with them, with Deion Sanders, right? Travis Hunter, former #1 overall recruit, was supposed to go to Florida State, ended up going to Jackson State, where he played wide receiver and corner. And that was sort of, I think, one of the main pitches that helped bring him to both Jackson State and Colorado was, hey, We think you're talented enough to play both ways. He wins the Heisman. Cormani McClain, once upon a time, was kind of expected to do the same. Didn't really turn into much. Tyler Brown was in a gray jersey at once at Colorado, which means you're a two-way player. Isaiah Harge was in a gray jersey at once. And now we have a new gray jersey out there in Cam Michael. Cam Michael, former blue chip recruit. And I don't want to say he's been disappointing because I know he's been battling injuries. Colorado's really had they had 4 NFL wide receivers on the roster last year, so there wasn't a ton of reps to go around. But he was a 4-star athlete, number 2 athlete overall, 12th player in the state of Georgia in the 2024 class. He played quarterback, running back, corner, can do a bit of everything. And I think Colorado, in the last Well-Off Media video, he was shown working with Rob Livingston, the defensive coordinator, on his back pedal, indicating he's going to play some corner or safety, whatever it is, whatever they decide to use him as, because he's a versatile athlete. And Colorado, and I'll get to the injury report a little bit later, but Teion Parks is out, right? So you need another corner to step in there. And I think Cam Michael he's sort of been a victim of just not of timing and injuries, I guess you could say, right? He's been banged up. Colorado's corners, DJ McKinney's probably a first-round pick. Preston Hodge has been locking up the nickel spot. And so there was really a battle for one corner spot. Receiver, they brought in a bunch of transfers, plus they had the Miller brothers, who aren't brothers. And it's been a log jam everywhere, right? And I thought he could have made an impact at running back, but they haven't used him there. And so he's been working with the secondaries coach, the defense coordinator who is an expert at the secondary. And I think for him, it's a good way to get him on the field. It's a good way to use him as his versatile athlete self, because, let's look at the stats that he put up in high school, because he played a little bit of special teams this past week, but he hasn't done anything at Colorado yet. And it's like, when are we going to see the guy? And so he was a two-way player, played at quarterback, running back, carried the ball 83 times for 478 yards and five touchdowns in 2022. Also had a couple of interceptions. The year before, he passed for 465 yards and 7 touchdowns and rushed for 1,000, right? So very much like get this guy on the field and he's going to make plays. The problem is they haven't figured out a way to get him on the field. And I think him working in with the defense could do just that. I don't know exactly what his role will be because, again, you have some good corners. You have a couple of – I won't say the safety position is all locked up, but I feel like they like who they have there. But he just hasn't registered a stat at Colorado yet. So it's like, okay, when are we going to see Cam Michael, the 6'1", 200-pound redshirt freshman versatile athlete, get on the field? And I think they're trying to figure out a way to get him on the field, right? Because it's kind of like in baseball. If you can hit, they will find you a role on the field. In football, if you are that versatile, they will make a role for you, right? Isaiah Harge, he doesn't have the biggest role, but he's been getting snaps. He's been getting touches. DeKalen Taylor, not the biggest guy, but he's sort of a pivotal piece of this Colorado offense. He's been getting snaps on offense, and they're trying to get him the ball a bunch of times per game. Another guy, Quentin Gibson, freshman, tiny guy, probably not the best receiver by any means on this Colorado roster right now. As fast as they come, lightning in a bottle. They're figuring out ways to get him the ball in the bubble screens, which I hate the bubble screens, or at least Colorado's execution of the bubble screens. But they're trying to figure out ways to get guys involved. And I think Cam Michael, the thing for him is he hasn't been involved in any facet of the game. And so you have to figure out something, because Colorado knows, first of all, there's 2 reasons you get a guy on the field in one way or another, a guy that's talented. One, he's talented. There's a reason he was ranked so high. There's a reason that everyone's so high on him. But you just got to find his role. 2, it's a transfer portal era. If he doesn't play, well, he's probably going to leave, right? He was being recruited primarily as a DB, and I think Colorado sort of pitched him on this idea of playing offense. And now I think they're sort of like, hey, there's still a path to you playing offensively, but right now we need to get you on the field. And the best way to do that is defensively. And I don't know how he took that, but playing time is playing time, right? And you can make an impact any way you can. And so I think, and I say the next Travis Hunter, I'm not saying he's going to be Travis Hunter, but I think as anytime Colorado tries a two-way guy, you're automatically going to go to Travis Hunter. And I think Cam Michael, versatile enough to make an impact on both sides of the ball. But right now, I think they just need to sort of, at least like Travis Hunter with the Jags, right? He played, 65 snaps of offense, 65 snaps in his debut this past weekend. But 50 something of them were offense and like 6 were defense. Like Jaguars are letting him figure things out. And I think that's what Colorado's plan is with Cam Michaels. Like, hey, we got to get him on the field in some capacity before we could start busting out these grand plans for him of like, hey, you're going to do this, this, and this. It's like, okay, why don't we just focus on you doing one thing before we dive into you doing 12 things? Because you can't run before you walk, and you certainly can't sprint before you walk. So I think this is the walking stage of the Cam Michael experience. When we come back, I'm going to be talking about the devastating injuries that Colorado is dealing with before the Houston game. This episode of Locked on Buffs, it's brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers the confidence with every ride with more IIHS top safety pick plus awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details, right? Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. So, like our players, we sweat every detail because you make every move count. Impossible becomes irrelevant with Mazda. Move and be moved. This episode of Locked on Buffs is also brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Why do people like using FanDuel so much? Because it fits however you like to play. There's player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live action as it unfolds. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Welcome back to Locked on Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, so make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this with a friend, comment below if you're new to the show, so that way I can say what's up. And if you want to become a Locked on Buffs insider and get exclusive content, film breakdowns from former Colorado player Jordan Dominic, make sure to click that link in the description below and sign up. The first 2 weeks are free. Okay, Big 12 play is here, at least for a week before Colorado takes on Wyoming, and the Buffs they have quite the laundry list of injuries. So I'm going to run through them, talk about the ones that I think are the most impactful. Let's start with the probable guys. So the guys that are expected to play. Taufik Bayard, safety. Thought he'd have a bigger role. I don't really understand why he doesn't have a bigger role. I think he could help a lot with the run issues that they're having on defense, the run stopping issues. Nonetheless, they like Ben Finseth. They like Carter Stottmeyer. So Taufik has sort of been pushed to the wayside for now. Makari Vickers, I liked what I saw from him. He made a couple big plays, broke up a pass, and I think he could end up being that third corner, right? I think that second corner. I think RJ Johnson, Tion Parks, I think their spot is in jeopardy. Cam Michael, listed as a wide receiver. We'll see how they use him because obviously we saw him with the gray jersey and getting work in on defense. Martavius French, the inside linebacker, and then Kaidon Salter, who I don't think has played, or if he has, he hasn't really had that much of a role. Questionable. Wide receiver Omarion Miller has been dealing with a hamstring injury. I mean, Colorado needs him. I think the more playmakers, the better. I think Ryan Staub will probably bring the best out of Omarion Miller. So there's that. Dallin Hayden, Colorado has not seen him yet this year. Had a hand injury, running back. Would like to see him because I thought this could be a breakout year for him, but we just haven't seen him at all. Simeon Price has stepped into that role, right? He's not the main running back, but he's the power back. And I think he's done a pretty good job. He runs physically, could catch the ball, and Colorado clearly likes him. Doubtful, which means they could play, but they probably won't. You got TJ Branch, the freshman safety, Kareem Harden, the offensive lineman, who kind of a swing guy, could play tackle or whatever, or right guard, whatever they need him. Walker Anderson, haven't seen much of him, if anything. And then out. So these are guys that are not playing. You got Tion Parks, who he plays with a big energy. He did have a PI against, I think it was Georgia Tech, but he just plays with an energy that I really like, and I thought he would be the second corner. Terrence Love at safety. The safety room for Colorado is just not what I thought it would be. Kyle Carpenter at corner. Phillip Houston, another offense lineman who I think could play a lot of roles for Colorado. So they're kind of thin on offensive line right now. They have Andre Roy. They have Yaya backing those guys up. So there's that. Then you got Charlie Williams at tight end. I mean, the tight end room is pretty much Zach Atkins and then Savell Small as the block. Pass rusher, defense end, Samuel Okunlola. We haven't seen much from him. We haven't seen much from Colorado's pass rushers in general. I don't think Sam's played at all this year. But I think Keaton Wade is going to be the guy that breaks out pretty soon here. And then defensive tackle Gabriel Lightfoot. So there's that. Also, Jaheim Otis was added as doubtful. So there's that. Not what you want to hear, because I really think Jaheim could have a pretty big impact for Colorado, but it's sort of getting to this point of like, I'm not giving up on him, but with injuries and sort of just not, I guess, being available, it makes it hard to sort of vouch for him to be the guy. And so Jaheim Otis is also doubtful, according to On3's Pete Nakos. So those are the injuries. I think Colorado has a good chance of winning this game. I think Houston really prides himself on being physical and running the ball. I think the teams that have hurt Colorado the most this year, obviously Georgia Tech, over 50% of their production was from Haynes King running the ball. Connor Weigman, whatever his name is, I think it's Weigman. He's not that guy. He's not going to run all over Colorado. Colorado has actually done fairly decent against slowing down running backs. So we'll see if Rice transfer Dean Connors can be the guy for Houston. But that is your injury report. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Locked on Buffs, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available over each podcast, so make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. And I will see you guys tomorrow with my post-game recap. Appreciate all y'all for tuning in, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Everyone have a safe Thursday.